Jarrod, we're ready to launch Group Tours 2026. Time to be excited?
I think so. I'm excited. I just hope our clients are. That's what it's all about.
So we put together 20, am I right?
It's probably getting on for a few more than that, but around about 20 odd. Yeah.
Carefully curated group tours, unique to steps, plus some add-ons.
Yeah,
so the clients can buy onto, right?
Exactly. The main collection, they're exclusive to steps. Horribly overused word in our industry, unique, but they are. You can only get them if you come to Steps Travel.
Okay, so let me start you. Let's assume that I have never been on a Steps group tour. Right. There is an abundance of group tours across the travel sector that people can latch onto.
Yeah.
What makes ours special? I mean, we've called the program Better Together.
Yeah.
Whoever does the marketing here is a genius. Right?
Who might that be?
But seriously, what makes our group tour special? You use the word unique.
Yeah.
We think they are. Why are they? And actually, why should somebody go on one of our trips? Why ours? Why choose us?
They're quite diverse. There's lots of different themes that we've latched onto and used, but the real thread throughout the whole collection is expertise. And often when people say to me about what does Steps do, I'll often sort of say, look, we're a travel company, of course, but we're also like a dating agency. You know, we connect you with people in the countries you want to visit that are going to give you insight, that are going to really satisfy your curiosity. And that's what we really strive for in this collection of group tours, to find people on the ground that are really going to open doors and give insight, and hosts as well, people joining the groups that are just going to give real expertise and a level of insight that you just wouldn't get without.
So expert-led, that's our key selling point, isn't it?
It is really. It's definitely the golden thread that runs through them all. And you know, travel is really about creating your own stories, but you know, storytelling is so integral to travel. And what I like about these trips is that there is a really strong narrative that runs through them all. And if you're going to have a strong narrative, you need characters. And so we bring along these different people, these different experts, and invite our clients to meet with them, interact with them, to satisfy their curiosity.
And we split them in some groups this time. There's some, so what can we do? For those who love culture, we'll come on to that in a second.
Yeah.
What else? We've got wildlife and wilderness.
We have.
What else? Good Lord. We've got some real adventures.
We've got some pretty, edgy stuff.
Edgy stuff that's sort of pushing the Grand Tour.
Yeah.
Top Gear style driving adventures and completely new destinations. I've not seen this with us before. So let's go through some highlights. Our cultural tours, we're going to, obviously, the Stans. We're going to Uzbekistan.
Yeah,
who's there? What are we doing?
I mean, those cultural tours, they are really a celebration of people and culture. And Central Asia has been such a mainstay for Steps right from the very, very outset. And so we've got some really interesting tours there. We're working with Chris Aslan again, who is perennial favourite of Steps clients. His book has recently been released. He's got families that he knows in Uzbekistan and all over the Stans that he can take our clients to, just to get that real intimate feel that, you know, you don't often get if you don't have these people that can open up the doors. You know, Chris is a real expert when it comes to silk industry, and so he can take us out to visit various sort of artisans in the back streets of Samarkand or Khiva. He's a brilliant guy. We've then got William Taylor, who's also running some trips for us through Central Asia.
Turkey as well.
And then Eastern Turkey.
A hot ticket.
It is. I mean, we've had a few of our own team go to Eastern Turkey recently, and they have gone on and on and on about how wonderful it is.
I hide when they come back.
And yeah, exactly. We all now want to go to Eastern Turkey. We actually organised a trip for William and Sam Dalrymple to Eastern Turkey last year. And Sam, William Dalrymple, I am dropping names. I'm sorry, I can't help myself. But the reason I'm dropping names is that Sam Dalrymple, William Dalrymple's son, who is an author, historian, filmmaker in his own right. He's leading one of our tours in Eastern in Eastern Turkey and in India. So
with special guests on a very special train.
Well, it's like, what have William Dalrymple and the Headhunters of Nagaland got in common? They all feature in the Next Steps group tour collection. So Sam is taking a group up to Assam, the Ailing Festival, where it's a celebration of what is essentially the old headhunter culture. And that promises to be a really exciting trip.
That does. And what about the caves that William Dalrymple and his friends and other guests are taking us to?
Yes,
and
absolutely.
What about that train?
So train travel is growing in popularity, and there seems to be every other month an announcement about a new train that is being launched. This is an old favourite. This is called the Deccan Odyssey. It goes across the Deccan Plateau in southern India. And we've got William Dalrymple joining the trip, but we also have a chap called Anirudh Kanasetti. Now, he's not as well known as William.
But he's the real deal, right?
He is absolutely the real deal. William speaks incredibly highly about this guy. He's a young Indian historian, very dynamic, very vibrant. He is, I would say, probably the leading authority on the caves of Ajanta and Ellora.
Which I'm told are rather special.
They are incredibly special. Now, I've not been, but our MD, Justin Waterich, has been to these caves. You can read about his reaction, a very emotional reaction to those caves when he was there. You can read about that on our website. But they are incredibly special. We're talking hundreds and hundreds of years old, with the most beautiful, intricate frescoes. When you first come over this plateau and down into the valley where these caves are sort of built into the side of the cliff faces, it is a really emotional experience.
For me, that's what travel's all right. Now, the one I got very excited about is Georgia. We know well, but Georgia and Armenia.
Yeah.
And you see that's definitely on my bucket list.
Yeah, it's the crossroads of Caucasia. I think we call that trip, and I think Georgia combines so well with Armenia. And we've got a chap called Ian Colvin running that trip, and we've done plenty of trips with Ian before. He's an academic, but he's a very sociable academic, and he really knows that area well. He did an archaeological dig in Georgia, and so you can go and see his excavation site. Really, really great to have that back on our program.
Wildlife, though.
Yeah.
So we're trying to do something for everyone this year, and loads of our clients, people travel with us, they love their wildlife, they love their open spaces. So if you start with those open spaces first, we've got a photographic trip to Iceland. Now, I was quite excited about that. This is a new one for us. This is landscape photography, but it's almost a complete circumnavigation of Iceland, isn't it?
It is, yeah, with Cav, who is one of the founders of Journey magazine and an extraordinary gifted photographer. Not only that, a brilliant teacher, lovely guy. And I think testament to that is that we already have bookings on that trip from people that have travelled with Cav before to Iceland. They actually want to go back and experience it again. But yes, there's nowhere I would be happier with a wide angle lens than in Iceland. It is the most beautiful, breathtaking landscapes.
And I've seen that route. It's well thought out.
It is, and it's kind of like raw geography. It's kind of A-level geography taken from a textbook and given to you in your face in the raw.
I'll have to tag along. Now, on to wildlife though. Of course we're going to the Galapagos. Yeah. We always go to the Galapagos. They're over there, aren't they?
They're somewhere behind me here.
They're actually just behind your right ear. I can see massively. So we've got various trips. We've got Jonathan Green, a great favourite.
Yeah.
King of the whale sharks.
King of the whale sharks.
A great naturalist.
We wouldn't want to call him a whale shark botherer, but no, he legitimately.
No, that's me.
He legitimately gets close to whale sharks. This is a guy that goes down into the sea with a scuba tank on his back and goes at an incredible rate through the sea to put a satellite tag onto the side of a whale shark. and Jonathan will be on board on one of our trips. Yeah, you're talking about
In a beautiful route through the Galapagos, going at the perfect time of year to just see the best of everything.
exactly. We very much like to head out to the western islands in the Galapagos, so out to Isabella, out to Floriana. We feel that particular route offers the best variety. We're also doing a trip with the Galapagos Conservation Trust, whom we support and have done for many years. And by working with them, we can really open some doors that more often than not are very firmly shut, in that we can give clients insight into some of the vital conservation work being done.
So they can get the Galapagos with a good conscience.
They can, and they can really learn about the conservation efforts that are ongoing to protect the Galapagos. People that are really at the coalface of conservation in places like Floriana, where there's a huge project there to remove invasive species from Floriana, because rats and things like that are eating the eggs of the birds, and it's this huge problem. But GCT have done great work to eradicate invasive species. So you can meet some of these people who are really passionate.
And up close and personal, of course.
Always up close and personal with these people, yeah.
And we have another one, a new one for us, working with Radio 4's Martha Carney. She's passionate about the Galapagos. She's leading a tour for us.
She is. So Martha she's got a new radio show where she's interviewing people about their connection with nature. And she's done lots of outside broadcasts when she was with the Today programme, from the Arctic, from Antarctica. So she's a real passionate naturalist in her own right. But what Martha will also be able to bring is really interesting stories about her time on the Today programme, about some of the political interviews that she's done. I think she'll be a really good host on board that trip.
Too.
Yeah.
And moving on to slightly bigger species, we're going gorillas and we're looking at tigers. Obviously not the same place.
Not the same place. No. We're not going to do a combo like that. But yeah, absolutely. These big iconic species.
Somewhere that just here,
yeah,
which is another hot ticket, somewhere that people want to go.
We've been getting a lot of interest in Gabon, and so we wanted to put this group tour together to really offer offer people something that is really different and unique to us. So you can go out and you can see western lowland gorillas. So very different to the mountain gorillas, and very, very different habitat, different behaviors you'll see from those primates. You can also see mandrills. Those are those really spectacular looking apes with a coloured face. And you can also go out and see do whale watching. But I think the real standout experience of this trip is the Bouiti ceremony that you can go and experience. And the Bouiti ceremony is where the local people out in the rural sort of parts of Gabon, out in the heavily forested areas, it's kind of like an initiation ceremony where the young women and men of the community will come together to try and speak to their ancestors, and that they use hallucinogenic sort of natural drugs to help them do this. So it is a really animated, quite visceral sort of experience. You're sat in this dark forest, there's a fire going, the people are all sat around from the community, there's singing, there's dancing, there's communicating with the forest ancestors. It is a real privilege to be invited to actually go and experience something like that.
So party time.
Party time in Gabon. Exactly.
Fantastic.
Yeah. But you mentioned the tigers.
The tigers.
Yeah, very exciting. So Julian Matthews, who has a real
old friend of ours.
He's an old friend, Jules. He founded Steps Discovery, or Discovery Initiatives as it was then, which is still going here at Steps. It is our travel arm, our wildlife travel arm, I should say, where we endeavour to support conservation. So Jules is doing a trip where we're really tracking the story of conservation of tigers, right back to the Raj, where the British were sort of hunting indiscriminately throughout India, all of the wildlife, obscene numbers of tigers that were killed at that time, right through to today, where the numbers are healthier than they've been in a very, very long time. So about 3,500 tigers. The last census 20 years ago, it was about 1,400. And that's when Julian founded something called the Travel Operators for Tigers, TOFT, to really try and push this problem, use tourism as part of the answer. And he calls it tigernomics. It's all about using tourism as a means of sort of a generating revenue, basically.
So you get to go and see the tigers with Julian, because he's great fun.
He is a lot of fun. He knows his stuff, but we're also meeting up with lots of other people that are a part of that narrative, a part of that conservation story. So people like Amit Sankala, whose grandfather founded Project Tiger, chap called Dr. Pabla, who's been involved in tiger conservation and always has quite provocative things to say about the government and the way they're trying to push conservation. I think you've got 4 nights in Kana, 3 nights in Pench, 2 nights Bori, 2 nights Satpura. We've done that deliberately because if you don't,
that's off the beaten track a little bit, isn't
it? Bori is a little bit off the beaten track, but that area, Bori and Satpura, is one of the largest contiguous forested areas in the whole of India. It is prime tiger habitat. And you can do some different things there. You can do a bit of walking. We do an all-day safari from Bori across to Satpura. We do a night safari. We go and visit some of the local villages, the local community, just to try and understand what it means to live side by side with a predator like a tiger. Yeah, it's a big part of that story.
But if you want to go really wild, whilst it's not strictly part of our new program, we've still a couple of places for Paul Goldstein in the panhandle of Alaska. If you really want to go to the ends of the earth,
absolutely. I think we've literally only got 1 space left on that trip. It's in Southeast Alaska with Paul. I mean, Paul Goldstein is a brilliant photographer and a superb teacher. He works his clients hard. He does. But he gets them results. What did somebody once say? Think Gordon Ramsay, but rather than pots and pans, it's lenses and camera bodies.
Well, no, I'm a big fan. He enabled me to win the most northerly pub quiz in the world.
Are you with him
in Spitsbergen? Absolutely, we had an adventure which now we can move on to what, having had a brief scan of the new brochure, I'm most excited about. For me, travel is not about destination, it's about journeying, it's about constant movement.
Yeah.
And we really have gone into our inner grand tour and pushed the boat out on our 4x4 adventures list, haven't we? I mean, if we stick with our traditional across the Andes in Peru, Lima through into the Amazon, we're doing that again, 2026.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely we are.
And that is pure adventure, isn't it?
It really is adventurous, yeah. We've got clients there at the moment. We've just done 2 back-to-back trips right the way through Peru. As you say, it sort of goes from Lima to Nazca through the desert, down into the Sacred Valley, Amazon, Andes. It's got everything.
And this isn't highway driving, is it?
It isn't highway driving. No, it's off-road. Not all the way, but it's on some pretty gnarly roads.
River crossings.
So
winching.
Our leaders on that trip are just brilliant. They know that area so well. So we've got Paul Boardman and Marisol Boardman. Marisol is Peruvian. I heard a story the other day that in order to get us at the front of a huge traffic jam, because a bridge had been taken out by some pretty heavy rain, Marisol actually waded across this river to go and speak to the policeman in order to get our clients right to the front of this queue to get on the road and away. Those are the sorts of touring that you'll find on this
trip. And then on to the next one. I mean, I have done elements. We're going to Namibia.
Yeah.
Which is not only a great 4x4 adventure, but it's potentially a life-changing 4x4 adventure for families as well. But this isn't your standard, let's drive around in Namibia in a 4x4, is it? This is...
I mean, Namibia, as you well know, you've done it with your family, I think. It lends itself so beautifully to self-drive. Yeah, absolutely. So we wanted to take that a little bit step further. And what we've got is a trip that combines the diamond sort of coast with the skeleton.
Go ghost hunting.
And you go ghost hunting. Go to these old abandoned towns where the desert has slowly reclaimed these little communities.
It is like the world's best film set.
Right, yeah.
And also you have this mythical belief, and is it mythical? That literally there are diamonds lying around on the floor there. You know,
I don't know if it is mythical.
I know. I think they're there.
Dig hard enough.
So so presumably, if we're taking off-road adventure, we're going to see the desert shipwrecks.
Yeah. No, we'll basically go.
And these are places you only see by plane normally, aren't they?
That's right. That's right. So from Luderitz, right in the south, all the way up to the Skeleton Coast, we end up with a couple of nights at a place called Shipwreck Lodge. So prior to that, the trip is pretty basic. There's some camping under the stars.
But outside, you know, camping outdoors. Who needs a tent in Namibia? To be honest, because you waste your time if you can't see the stars.
No, absolutely.
And the food and the people and the animals.
There'll be campfires. There'll be stories. But a couple of nights at the end at Shipwreck Lodge is a really lovely way to end that trip. Because Shipwreck Lodge is fabulous, great location, great service, a little bit of comfort at the end. I think is a nice way to finish it off.
And then to finish off our little part of this portfolio, we're doing something properly new. Costa Rica, one of the world's hottest destinations.
Yeah,
four-wheel drive adventure, and this is a proper adventure, isn't it?
It is. It really is. I mean, Costa Rica is loved by our clients. We love Costa Rica for what it's done to put ecotourism on the map. But we felt I wouldn't say it's lost its way at all, but certainly it's got more and more synonymous with 5-star luxury. And we just felt there's way more to Costa Rica than that. And so we just wanted to get away from that sometimes over-polished kind of Costa Rica and really try and show our clients a different side to the country, perhaps a more authentic, perhaps more gritty side to the country. And that's exactly what this 4x4 trip is all about.
And what are they going to see? The depths of the jungle, beautiful coast.
Yeah, all of that. So they'll go up
Can we
to
use the word jungle?
Yeah, we can use
Can we use
rainforest?
Would that be more sophisticated? I'm such a klutz. I just think jungle. Give me a 4x4 in the jungle.
You can call it jungle, mate. That's absolutely fine because that's what it is. And you will see plenty of jungle. You will see plenty of coast. So you go up to Arenal with the volcano. You go across to the Nicoya Peninsula, which is the beautiful people hang out for surfing and the like. But then you go all the way down south to the Ossa Peninsula, to Corcovado National Park. And then we'll park the vehicles up for a few days because you want to do jungle walking, you want to do kayaking. Something like 3% of the world's biodiversity is in this one national park in Costa Rica, Corcovado. So we're going to spend time there. And that is what these 4x4 trips are all about. They're not for out and out petrol heads. Yes, they're for people who enjoy driving, but they're more for people that want to get off the beaten track.
Not see other tourists.
Exactly. And use 4x4 as a means of actually just getting out into parts of the country that perhaps are often overlooked and often don't benefit from tourism.
But you also find out stuff about yourself on these trips, don't you?
Yeah, you do. No, absolutely.
Because they're physical.
They are physically challenging. They can be mentally challenging. When you've been in the vehicle for a long day in Peru, that glass of wine at the other end of the day
because you are going
very welcome.
These are small group tours.
Yeah,
you're going in small convoys. You're a team, aren't you? Everybody has to get up. Everybody has to get off. Everybody has to get home.
Absolutely. It's so talking earlier about being a dating agency and connecting our clients with people on the ground. Well, our group tour collection really goes a step further with that, and it brings together travellers who are like-minded and I'll be lying if I said it works every time. Of course, there'll be times when you might not get along.
Do get on. They are the same people. They're all different, but they have a love of travel.
Exactly.
And it's about finding out.
Yeah.
It's
absolutely. There's nothing I think more likely to form a bond than the joy of travel, and just having that open mind, that curiosity. And learning about a place together, it can really be a strong bond that's connected.